I assume the privacy and like the processing, auditing, things like that. I mean, talk us through like what do you think's coming there, and what do you think? How do you think vendors should be thinking about it?
Yeah, so you think about the way third-party security is done today. It's mostly a questionnaire. You're going to use maybe some third-party tool to do a scan to get an idea, right? Like a security scorecard or something like that. But there hasn't been that much attention paid to where the data actually goes into. Like we know, like if I have a partner that does something for me, right, and I send them a piece of my data so they can do what they need to do to it, send it back. We know the controls they have in place there because we do, our questionnaire, our assessment, whatever. So we know the general controls there. But now when they start putting it into different AI models, where does that go? Right. And what kind of models are they using? The thing that we tend to like assume that like most companies are big and they have security programs and they're going to use enterprise grade everything, but that's not what actually happens in the real world, right? Because there's a lot of smaller companies that we end up partnering with. And you would be absolutely amazed at how many of them just use free versions of stuff. And so when you start thinking about things like DeepSeek or whatever that are in China, and now like how many of your vendors are using it? And now is your data sitting over in China? And how are they doing that? Right. I'm not saying DeepSeek's bad. Don't get me wrong. But like the point is like it's questions that you have to start asking. Like I remember a couple of years ago, we just started saying, "Are you using AI?" Like that was a general question we'd start asking for our third parties. Before that, we never even asked that question. Probably, I would say probably in the last 2 or 3 years, it started coming back as a new question that you put on a questionnaire. But now the question is going to become not only are you using it, because we're going to assume everybody's using it, but how are you using it? What models are you using? Like, and then that's going to drive a whole different level of questioning, which I think is a really good thing because it's going to help us get a way better understanding of where our data is. I think historically, we haven't done a good job of understanding the sort of the holistic flow of our data and where it goes throughout our vendor ecosystem. And these kind of questions that we have to start asking will help us sort of map that out. And so I think it's a pretty interesting future within the security teams of evolution of really understanding your supply chain security.